So, Global Mail, Global, CTV, Al Jazeera, CBC, and the National Income with me, please. And the others?
What about the rest?
The rest of us?
The rest will have to see that.
Sheila Gunn-Reid for the Rebel.media. We're just wrapping up the final few hours and really minutes here at the Defend Media Freedom Conference in London, a conference co-hosted by the Canadian government and the UK government. And I think the whole story here is just how unfree the press has been and how the co-host of the conference, Canada's Foreign Minister, Chrystia Freeland, a former journalist herself, tried to block media from accessing her. Just watch her strut past the media and use her staff to block the media from asking her questions for the second day in a row here.
That's insane.
When Freeland hosts panels about how it is a journalist's job to ask tough questions to politicians and people in power, she really doesn't mean it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The most heartening part of this entire conference came from a very surprising place for me. It came actually from the mainstream media. You see, Freeland was to host a press conference this afternoon. Now, we only found out about that press conference through a friend here, through Andrew Lawton from True North Centre, because we've been intentionally left off the media list where we would get access to Freeland's media availability throughout the day. We don't get those emails. We get them secondhand through Andrew Lawton. So we found out about a press conference. I registered for the press conference, and then we waited for Freeland to come. That's when her press secretary, her media handler, came to us and said that there wouldn't be enough room for all the journalists who wanted to speak to Freeland in this massive warehouse building and that some of us would not be allowed to participate in the press conference. As it turns out, the two media outlets not allowed to participate were the only two self-described conservative media outlets. Us, of course, at the Rebel, and True North. Andrew Lawton wasn't going to be allowed to participate in the press conference either. Now, I want to show you something. It shocked me and blew my mind. Just watch what the mainstream media journalists do when they hear the news that two of us are going to be banned from this press conference. Here.
Okay, so, Global Mail, Global, CTV, Al Jazeera, CBC, and the National Income with me, please. And the others?
What about the rest?
The rest of us?
The rest will have to see that.
No, I
No.
think we all go.
That's
We all
nonsense.
go.
No, go. That is nonsense.
We all go.
We're not going.
That's
Let's take us to the room and we can see if we can.
then we're not going, Brittany. We're just not.
We're all going.
This is a media freedom conference.
Yeah, this is
We
ridiculous.
just don't do that.
Yeah,
No.
we're not going then.
Yes, friends, those are mainstream media journalists defending my right to ask Freeland questions. They're defending Andrew Lawton's right to be in a press conference. Those are our competitors. Those are our critics. Those are people we are routinely critical of. And yet here today, they stood with us on the side of press freedom while the minister who is co-hosting this press freedom conference, a former journalist herself, tried to block two of her loudest critics from her press conference. Shocking, I know, but credit where it's due. We made some allies, at least in the fight for press freedom here today. Now, after that standoff with the journalists happened, the press secretary for Chrystia Freeland decided she was going to look around this massive building and find a more appropriate space to accommodate just two more of us. And she did, but not before repeatedly telling me, a journalist, not to film her at a conference of journalists hosted by her boss, to advocate for press freedom. Truly, truly bizarre stuff. This entire conference, friends, has been utter fake news. It's not about press freedom. It has been a conference of people looking for subsidies and looking for regulation and calling it by the Orwellian name of a freedom conference. And it's co-hosted by a minister who singles out specific journalists for censorship. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. I'm making some strange friends and allies here at the Defend Media Freedom Conference in London. I made some allies in the fight for freedom in the mainstream media. I'm as shocked as you are. Now, to see all of our reporting here from on the ground in London, go to mediafreedomconference.com. And while you're there, if you're so inclined, if you feel like supporting our trip here to bring you the other side of the story, you can do that too there at mediafreedomconference.com.